moving forward. But before going into my speech, I actually wanted to mention that our vision when we joined, and we had quite a lot of discussions, we had basically 5 pillars we were going to focus on for the period of our leadership, which was actually meant to be 1 year. And those 5 pillars were social welfare, investment, political engagement, economic development, and scale up. And within the pillars, we had actually broken it down and defined exactly what we planned to do, really broken it down. And one of which was actually the idea that was just floated here of, identifying a cause that we will support back home. Unfortunately, when we took the leadership, the accounts were just really low, and you can see from the books, they were quite low. So it didn't make sense for us to think about going to support an institution or some cause in Kenya when we were not even as nearly liquid as we needed to be. So we thought, well, let's first raise some funds, and then we identify a cause and we go for, we support it. And then our dear friend COVID came. And so all of that was put on pause, and now we are back. Well, at least until today, unless you want us back in. So let me go to my speech. It's not very long, but it's kind of long because I really want to give you a bit of a picture. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I sincerely hope you're enjoying the warm weather and opening up of society and activities after the COVID-19 pandemic. And actually, a very big thank you for joining us. Thank you, Aitito, for coming. The current WISA committee was elected in July 2019, and we're currently in the 3rd year of our mandate. Unfortunately, for slightly over 2 years, we lost over 2 years because of COVID-19 pandemic measures. And during this period, as much as we undertook some activities, we were not able to achieve all we had hoped to achieve, which I've just mentioned as part of our pillars. But we achieved the following things. The committee had the opportunity to meet with Their Excellencies Ambassador Kiborani, who is the current ambassador of Kenya to Switzerland. And we also had a number of engagements with Ambassador Cleopa Mailu, who is the permanent representative of Kenya to the United Nations and international organizations. During these missions, and of course other senior government officials, during these discussions, key objectives of the meetings were to discuss issues of concern and interest to Kenyans in Switzerland. Some of the issues at the time really discussed, if you recall, was 1, processing and collection of the new e-passport. Those of you who were like me, who had to go to Paris, come back, go again to Paris to collect, it was just not realistic. So we talked about that. We also talked about advocating for jobs to the United Nations and other international organizations. It's a mantra we have repeatedly mentioned to them, because we have many senior people even here who really deserve better, but unfortunately there are certain positions which are very political, and so we were really advocating for that. We also talked about identity cards. We have kids, my daughter just turned 18, and we have many other kids who have turned 18, and to get an ID, you can imagine you're being told to go to a chief in Gatundu, where I come from. They don't even know Gatundu. So we've been trying to advocate to the government. How can you facilitate this? How can the embassy here be our chief? How can they make it easier? Still ongoing, nothing solid yet. One solid thing was that actually the passport issue was sorted out, and now you can, register and do your biometrics in Bern and get your passport in Bern. So that was a very positive outcome. I would say it was entirely our work, but it was because we really pushed the embassy for this. We also talked about investments and economic development opportunities in Kenya. Again, an ongoing discussion, actually in Kenya and in Switzerland. And the reason was that there's a big disconnect. Most of the people here who have projects in Kenya, you have to rely either on your relative, and we have heard what happens, or your friends, or it's a very expensive process, even just buying your own home or building your own home. So we were asking, how can the government facilitate, at least even just to facilitate, to give us the right connections to invest in Kenya. These are discussions that are again are ongoing, nothing solid has come, but since the ban mission started, the finance attaché has actually said that they have a plan and they will reach out to us, and I'll explain why there has been a bit of a delay on that part, but they have some thoughts on how we can use a platform through the embassy. And then there were also other challenges of people who have unclear legal status in Switzerland, others who have legal issues, which do not necessarily require somebody having to go back home, or they just need that backup of the embassy to show that this is a Kenyan. So we had a lot of discussions. I must say they are fruitful in a sense that at least they listen to us. Unfortunately, it takes time, and we didn't do much during those 2 years beyond those few discussions. However, the Kenya Mission expressed its support for most of the issues, but they indicated that the fragmentation of Kenyans' representation in Switzerland due to multiple associations makes it difficult for the mission to engage with Kenyans in a constructive and uniform manner. And that's why I say that was one of the challenges. It has been expressed repeatedly by both ambassadors that we have a tiny country like Switzerland, we have 13 Kenyan associations, non-Kenyan associations. Now, if each Kenyan association has a chairman, a treasurer, or a president, or then who is really representing Kenyans? So they suggested that we form an umbrella association, because, to be honest, the issues that we are struggling with in Geneva are very different from what other people in Zurich or in Winterthur or in any other canton are struggling with. So we appreciate that they have value where they are. However, we needed to come together and form an umbrella association. Discussions have gone extensively on this matter. We can say that this is one of the successes of the current team that you're seeing here, because we actually managed to engage and meet with all actually 9 of the associations. 4 of them are still unclear where they are. I think one is in Ticino, but we haven't ever met them, but we hear they exist. And of the 9 associations, we are Kenyans, so we have a lot of internal politics, and so 4 of them were ish about forming an umbrella. So we say, okay, fine, we will start, and when you feel comfortable, please join us. So 5 associations actually set up the umbrella, and those 5 associations identified an interim leadership team. The interim chair is called Lulu, and the interim secretary is called Pamoja. They're in a different canton, not canton, but in a city called Ibadan. So that was a success. We still have got some steps to take for this to be actualized. For example, it needs to be registered. It needs to be acknowledged within the system. There is a certain legal process we must go through, and that is what we are going through. Again, we got stuck a little bit because of the COVID-19 issues, but now we have revived the discussions once the opening of the society has happened. Another important outcome of the discussion with the embassy was the need for Kenyans to register with the Kenya Mission in Bern as Kenyans, because that's the representation. But even the permanent representatives here, you can register through here, and your details are taken to Bern. The reason is that they want to know and engage with Kenyans, and they were very clear that this has nothing to do with your taxation or with your finances. They just want to know where the Kenyans are, so that when you come and talk to them, they are dealing with somebody who is within their register, because anyway your details will eventually be there. We currently have roughly 1,500 Kenyans registered, but indications are that we are actually more than 3,000 Kenyans in Switzerland. So there's a big group of people, and I'm sure some of you here, who are not registered. So they really encouraged us to pass the word that we need to be registered with the mission. They need to know who we are, so that when they're engaging or when you have issues, they can relate to the people they're dealing with, and not just people appearing randomly in the mission. Apart from that, we actually organized 3 successful events with all these challenges that we went through. 3 barbecues actually. So during the summer of 2019, just after the elections, we had one in 2020 during summer where there was an indication that things are going to open up. We quickly arranged something nicely attended because I think people were tired of the lockdown. We had another one in 2021 again during summer. And the committee also celebrated last year the WISA 10th anniversary in December last year, which right here, and we had quite a good crowd. And in all these events, surprisingly and very, to feel the presence of our government in all those events, either the ambassador attended himself, that's Ambassador Kiurani, the ambassador of Kenya to Switzerland, or they sent someone. So they actually want to engage with us. So we were very happy to have those events. And it is not just for Kenyans. As you know, also Kenyans, we are spread out. We have our families, our husbands and wives and other families who are non-Kenyans, and these are always open to them. However, the AGM is strictly for Kenyans, or at least somebody with a Kenyan ID. Other successes included reactivation of our electronic and social media platforms. So we included WISA website, which we launched last year in summer, Twitter, Facebook page, Instagram, and we have not been very active simply because being a voluntary responsibility, we are not consistently active there, and we've also had some drop, so we lost 2 members during this period, and therefore we've not been, doing very well with the social media, but the platforms are there, and we intend to make sure that now we really pick up our communication. And then, as was mentioned earlier, as part of the COVID-19 response, WISA conducted a successful food and toiletry donation drive. We had a lot of people who donated in kind and some in cash, which was what was mentioned here. And then all donations were handed over to the Geneva Canton. So we used to be in what is that place called? Yeah, where they used to come and we would go and give them. And then WISA reached out to the Kenyan community to offer support. And there was one case which a Kenyan who was in a really dire situation reached out to us, and we actually managed within, the collections that we had collected, we managed to give them some food and some money for them to survive for that period because they were totally desperate. And we are proud of what we did. So we continue to appreciate members who have continued to update their annual contributions, though we know that we had actually stopped it. We waived the last 2 years simply because, like I said, there was not much we were doing. But we'd like very much to pick this up and get your support, because we need at least the basic resources to be able to do more. So planned activities in future. While the COVID situation led to roughly 2 years of inactivity, the WISA committee will endeavor to invest in more social activities such as sports events. And we have serious sports enthusiasts here, like Job, who is a serious biker, and others who, run and hike and, play different football and different other sports. And so we want to engage and work with you, to partner with you. We use WISA as a platform, but you guide us on what events work for you, and then we come together, and especially sports events, because it's also very good for our kids. Now, on top of that, we also want to have investment talks. We had, because part of the plan initially, and we even have a senior economist who works for a bank who is a Kenyan here, and he was very ready to actually start having these talks, but again, lockdown. So we have people who are ready to give us investment talks, opportunities for investments in Switzerland and in Kenya. And so what we plan to do is actually call or start having these interactions. We have been approached by KCB Cooperative Bank, Optiven, which is a real estate company, Safaricom, and they just approached us by email. But we told them, unfortunately, we could not do anything that time because the lockdown measures were too tight. So we are now going to revive those conversations, and they're ready to give us ideas. How do we invest back at home through banks that we feel are a bit safe? How do we use the platforms that they have to benefit the Kenyans here. So these are things that we intend to revive moving forward. So, and like I said, we appreciate that our communication has not been very good. However, we endeavor to improve our communication to you by regularly giving you updates. You guys can access our website. These photos of today, you will see them, and we'll share the website. And just so we continue communicating so that you can understand what we are doing and also know how you can, you guys can reach out to us. All in all, we need your support. For the committee to succeed in meeting its mandate, it is important that you stand with us. So we would appreciate your involvement and support in the following areas. One, sharing content for the website and Facebook page and our other social media pages. So there are people who have businesses here. There are people who they may not seem big things, but they're actually important. For example, my dear wife doesn't like cooking chapos, but me, I like chapos. So we have people who can actually advertise themselves and say we make chapos and we make samos, etc. There are those people who actually clean cars. There are people who do so many things. We want to have a page in our website where you can advertise your services to us. And I mean, it cuts across board. We have big hotels owned by a big hotel owned by actually 2 Kenyans here, and so there are ways we can be able to support each other in that area. Second thing is, if you have any stories from Kenya, if you have any thing or idea that you feel you'd like us to pursue as using the WISA platform, this is one opportunity. So we've had, for example, cases where we've been told to support one children's home. We actually had zeroed in and had planned to do it, but we were really broke, we didn't have the money, so it is something we will have to come back to. And so also give us other ideas. Then what we'll do is we'll prioritize and openly tell you, well, based on our little research, this is the best way we think we should go, and then we go that way. If there are job opportunities or internship opportunities, like I said, we have big kids. My daughter just turned 18, and I'm sure many of you have big kids. We have to help each other. If I have an internship opportunity, I can try to push for somebody at the Global Fund. I will definitely try. It doesn't mean you'll always succeed, but try. So please share those ideas if you have that information, because we don't normally know, first of all, we don't know where everybody works, but at the same time, we don't know what the opportunities are unless somebody comes forward with them. So that is also an area we would like your support. And all this information can be sent through our email address, which is kenyans4kenya.genevacommunity@gmail.com. We'll share that with the emails you've registered. We'll send you an email, and so you will see the email address. Please share ideas. We have a very wonderful secretary who has been active, and she can actually look through and reach out to us and tell us what we need to, when we have our regular meetings, what are the things that have come up that we need to discuss. And then, of course, the big one, payment of member contribution. We need you guys to pay. It's not much if you think about it. It's 10 francs registration. Anybody who has entered here, you automatically be registered by your paying your 30 francs. So first of all, you're all members automatically. After that, we charge, or we ask you to contribute 10 francs a month, which is 120 francs a year. We'd rather you do it like one off per year, because I know it's cumbersome always sending 10 francs, 10 francs, 10 francs. And you can do it in many ways. You can send directly to a bank account. You can tweet the money to me or the treasurer. We can come up with ideas. I know the inconvenience sometimes doesn't work for you, but we really, really need you guys to contribute, because those contributions are the ones that will help us move this association forward. And then, of course, spreading the word of WISA to the other community members who have not been able to join us. In conclusion, the current WISA committee, which is stepping down officially after this, would like to confirm that we are fully back to operation. COVID is no longer an excuse. We are on the ground. We are going to deliver. The committee is committed to serving all of you and all Kenyans in Switzerland, irrespective of their social, tribal, political status. We are together, and please rely on WISA. Thank you very much. Oh yes, Oh, I've just been reminded. We started a regular Friday evening, a regular event every month. So we call it the meet and greet, M&G. And a number of you, I think, participated in the last two. So every first Friday of the month, we meet at different places. So the first two times we met in a hall called Hall Day. Next time we are thinking of doing a barbecue. And this is not an official event where you're coming to have speeches or anything like that. It's more just to get to know each other more and more. And I met quite a number of Kenyans in the last ones who have attended this, so I really appreciate that. So please block your calendars. Friday evening from 6:30 p.m. every first Friday of the month. We'll be sending flyers around to tell you where it's going to be, and then you come. If it's at the park, we will sell drinks like we are selling here. If it's in the hall there, the place has drinks, and then we can just sit and talk. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.